and welcome back to the FIA World Endurance Championship for 2025. My name's Alexa and I'll be your host for this race preview for LMGT3. And there's lots for us to unpack. We've just had the Prologue, which is essentially our pre-season testing, 14 hours of track time, loads of new storylines, and even a new manufacturer. Let's get into it. And welcome back, WEC expert Sam Smith, to talk all things LMGT3. And to start off with, what a grid we have again for 2025.
Sensational. 18 cars, multi-manufacturers again in the championship. A new one, which we're going to come on to, which is very exciting. Second season of LMGT3. Last year was interesting, wasn't it? It was multiple winners throughout the races, but actually it was the 92 that kind of dominated and wrapped it up with one race to go. That's not going to happen this season. It's going to be really, really close. And I expect at least 3 manufacturers to be duking it out by the time we come to Bahrain in, that's 10 months' time. So see, it will go like a flash, Alexa.
We've got a little bit way to go. A few hours of racing between now and then. But how about we talk about Qatar? What are the challenges of this track in particular for the LMGT3 boys?
Similar to Hypercar in the sense that the Goodyear tyres, it's all about managing those, getting the best out of them, making the right calls. Strategically, there'll be multiple threads about how the cars react to that. Obviously, they're all very different. That's the beauty of WEC. You've got this diversity in designs of the cars. So that means that vehicle dynamically, there's a lot of differences and they all come together, and that's where you get a bit of a hierarchy. But as I said, I expect that hierarchy to be like minimal between at least 3 or 4 of the top manufacturers in this championship there.
Okay, well how about we start by running through our grid. Let's head on down into the pit lane. We'll go for a wander, see what we can have a look at. Should we start off with, well, my plan is to go in alphabetical order. We'll see how that goes. I'm probably going to get distracted halfway through. But let's start with Aston Martin.
Yes, Heart of Racing are back, and there's a new kid on the block as well with the Racing Spirit Le Mans, Swiss team. Let's talk about the Heart of Racing 27. Ian James stays in that car. There's 2 new drivers though. Zach Robicon has come over from the Proton Ford Mustang squad that he raced for last season, and Mattia Drudi, who is a name very familiar to GT3 enthusiasts and commentators. Really interesting talent, highly rated, an ex-Audi factory driver in GT3. So that feels again like it's kind of a bit of an upgrade in the sense of aspects of that squad, and I expect them to be able to reprise what they did at Qatar with that famous home win last September.
And actually, as soon as I said it, I realised I wanted to talk about Ford straight away. So we're abandoning alphabetical order. Let's talk about Proton competition and that Ford Mustang, because there's a big rebuilding operation going on behind us. Can you talk us through what happened in the Prologue and how that kind of impacts things looking ahead to next week?
Yeah, unfortunately the 77 was damaged quite severely in a fire on track for Ben Tuck, who's making his WEC debut this season. So unfortunate start from his point of view. The team are doing a colossal job in rebuilding that. I mean, I think they had to make a call on whether they got a spare shell for that, but they haven't. So they're rebuilding it at the moment. It'll be back in action for free practice 1, and just another reminder of the amazing job that these mechanics and engineers do when cars are damaged, particularly with a fire, because there's so much that gets contaminated and parts have to be changed. So it's a real sort of reset of the jigsaw puzzle for those guys. But Proton, I think what they'll look back, there'll be natural disappointment last season for what they achieved, but quite a few changes in that team. I'm particularly looking forward to seeing what Ben Tuck does in the 77. He's with almost a trio of Bens in that. Not quite, but Bernardo. Can we call him Bernardo?
Ben, I'm sure he won't mind.
Bernardo Sousa from Portugal, who's a well-known name in European rally, and has done quite a bit in rallying. So it's going to be fun to see how he gets on with that Proton Ford Mustang. Ben Barker, of course, is back for a second season, and the 88 has got a raft of new drivers as well. So I think lots of new things there, and I expect them to sort of kick on and get some more solid results, and try and really get into the top 3 positions on occasion this year.
Okay. Well, how about we sort of gently swing around this way a little bit? You can see what I'm doing. Hello BMW, doesn't this work well? And if we're going to start off by talking about the number 46 car, I love what they've done with the livery this year, taking Valentino Rossi's iconic green colour, and there's a little bit of a change in that car and plenty of changes in the 31.
Well, Valentino's right on brand this year, isn't he? Because he recently turned 46. So he is
Oh my
46
goodness,
with the
I didn't
46.
realise that.
The stars are aligned. So maybe this is his year. You know, I think there was. It was an okay year last year. I mean, results-wise, it didn't quite happen for him and the 46 crew. Ahmed El Hati is with him again this season, and I think in terms of what they can bring with this team, Kelvin van der Linde joining, moving over from the Acodis ASP team for that 46 squad. Maxime Martin is moving on to Mercedes. So I think that could be a really interesting move because Kelvin is super quick, super dedicated, super ambitious. And I think we could see both van der Lindes perhaps tasting success this season. And we've got a kind of a bit of a new name with the number 31 car as well. It's a reference to the fabulous The Bend racetrack in Australia, which Yasser Shaheen founded and sort of manages. And Yasser had a sort of hot and cold season last year. He was learning a lot about his craft. He really got into it, got some fabulous results. Obviously, Le Mans, winning Le Mans at your first
incredible
go is sensational. But I think a super competitive guy is Yas. So that he's going to be wanting to have a real crack at the championship with his new teammates, his new teammate Timo Boguslavski and Augusto Farfus as well. So a lot of experience there. Augusto's good at sort of mentoring drivers too. So I think it could be a good season for Yasser.
Let's carry on down the pit lane. We've got other people to talk about because up next, Corvette Racing and TF Sport. One unchanged lineup, one quite dramatically different lineup, but both incredibly exciting.
Yeah, I think TF will be coming back swinging this season. Really disappointing results-wise last season. They were still finding their feet with the Corvette, and I think this year, as you said, continuity with one of the cars, with the 81 car with Charlie Eastwood, Rui Andrade and Tom Van Rompuy in that car. The 33 car, now the 33, carries over with one of GT Racing's most interesting and engaging characters, Ben Keating, obviously a multiple champion with Le Mans and what he achieved in WEC with LMGT3 a few seasons ago. You know, the 33 car for me, that feels like if there is a favourite in this championship, you look at that lineup of Ben Keating and you look at Johnny Edgar and you look at Daniel Hunkedea. I mean, that is super
phenomenal.
strong. Hunkedea was fantastic at Daytona. He got second place in the Corvette at Daytona a month or so ago. And Johnny Edgar, reigning ELMS LMP2 champion, got a really proven track record in single-seaters as well. That feels like, if there is a favourite and it's by a minuscule amount, I'm stitching that favourite tag onto them for this season.
Hot take. Well, another interesting lineup for me, I think, has to be from McLaren and United Autosports. Firstly, if you take a little look at that livery, you're not going to miss that out on track. Very, very on brand with that papaya orange. Going to be absolutely standing out.
I think this team are going to be one to look out for this season. They sort of hit their stride at the second half of last year, got some podium positions, huge potential in this McLaren. They've got some continuity with Gregoire Saucy and James Cottingham, Marino, Sato, but they've got some new guys. They've got in the 95 car, they've got Sean Galale, who's obviously done LMP2 very successfully and was with BMW for last season. And we've also got Darren Lung, who won at Imola, of course, with BMW again last season. Sebastian Beau, who I think consistently was one of the really outstanding performers last season, has moved across there as well. James Cottingham did a fantastic job. Under the leadership of Richard Dean and the guys at United, I think they can get some really spectacular results this season.
Well, how about we move on to Vista AF Corsa, a long-time staple of the WEC, and if I may, Sam, but quite frankly, very little to report from them over the off-season.
Yeah, lots of consistency across the board for these guys. They were occasionally strong last season. Some circuits suited the Ferrari 296 more than others. They've been really quick in the Prologue. They've always been at the top of the timesheets in the Prologue. And I think they could mount a title challenge if they get the consistency, if they get the calls on the tyres right. Thomas Flo, we know, when he gets the true confidence of a track and when he can exploit his natural aptitude to sort of, really kick on with a strategy, I think that the 54 car in particular could be strong. 55 becomes 21 this year. So we've got Francois Heriot, who showed a real turn of speed in some qualifying sessions last season. Alessio Rivera, as we know, has been super quick, and Simon Mann is coming on quite nicely as well. So I think they're going to be in contention this season.
And perhaps one of the surprises of the Prologue are Codus, ASP and Lexus. Last year they definitely had their fair share of issues, kind of just struggled to find pace occasionally. This year they've rocked up and have been very, very impressive during the Prologue this weekend.
They have, yeah. I think they've got a good shout to be the most improved package of the season. Really strong team, founded and managed by Jerome Policon, an ex-racer himself, a very good racer in his day. Some new faces as well in this team. Clement Schmid comes on sort of full-time. He had a part-time role last season. But I think the two sort of headline names really are Ben Barnicoat, who is a Toyota affiliated driver coming into the Lexus camp here. And
actually, he's been driving that Lexus for a couple of years in IMSA as well, so that experience is only going to help.
So he's got some good experience with that car. Shown a lot of improvement in the Prologues so far. They've got a young firebrand in Finn Geschitz, who is somebody who hasn't done a massive amount of racing in recent seasons, but has got a really good grounding and a good reputation in and around the sort of German GT scene as well. So yeah, I think certainly a Codis from what we've seen in the Prologue, they could be making an appearance on the podium at least this season.
And actually, as we're walking down the pit lane, I've just looked at Aston Martin and there's a story there that we forgot to talk about.
Mr. Barrichello.
Bingo.
Second generation Barrichello. Fantastic to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got a Schumacher and a Barrichello. The old teammates from the Ferrari early in the 2000s, of course, they had such a fantastic partnership. Yeah, great to see Eduardo in it. Rubens has done a bit previously. He's made appearance at Le Mans and he's done some IMSA racing as well. Definitely carrying on the family tradition of being very quick racing drivers. A bit of a rookie to the GT3 scene, but I think he'll come along in the Aston Martin this season. He seems to be understanding it quite well. He got a lot of laps, so it'd be fun to see how Eduardo gets on this season.
Right, let's gently kind of swing round this way, because there's actually quite a lot for us to unpack here. I think maybe first and foremost, we start off with the fact that Mercedes has joined the FIA World Endurance Championship. What a day!
The three-pointed star. It was a really late call as well. It didn't really form until around Bahrain last season with the Iron Link squad. But yeah, this feels like a sort of a marriage with manufacturing team that could really have a lot of promise in their inaugural season. I think they're going to have to be given quite a bit of time, though, first off. There's basically an Italian strand of that with the 60 with Matteo Crissoni, and we've got Claudio Schiavone, and we've also got Matteo Cairoli, who we know from Porsches, we know is ultra quick. I mean, it's the amount of times I've seen him at the top of free practice sessions and really leading the way. I think that could be a super. I mean, essentially it's all about Schiavone and how Claudio gets on in that car, but certainly I think that they could have a much more competitive season than they did with Lamborghini last season. And Christian Reed, more comebacks than Frank Sinatra. Coming back, great to see Christian.
He just won't retire.
The WEC's the most starts in WEC history. Great to see Christian back with a new project with a Mercedes. But yeah, the initial story is Mercedes are here, another prestige OEM in the championship, and one that's synonymous with customer GT racing, of course, as well as other programs in the past. So yeah, fantastic to see them join the party.
Actually, we didn't mention Maxime Martin there either.
Well, you need experience with a new project, like say with this car, with the Mercedes. And if you were to pick one driver with great experience, great foresight, technical foresight, Maxime Martin will be pretty high up the list.
Now, the only thing that is a little bit confusing, everyone who's familiar with Iron Links and Iron Dames over the year are going to be looking at this going, well, this is Iron Links. Where have the Iron Dames gone?
Well, first of all, they're still here. Don't panic, don't worry.
They're down this way, so we'll do this to make this work.
Yeah, they've sort of become a staple, haven't they, of the WEC, and a firm fan favourite, and for good reason. Such a fantastic programme, innovative. It's something that, with a young daughter, 11-year-old daughter, she really identifies with what this team does and the way that they do it. They've gone back to a Porsche, so they ran a Porsche in 2023, and they're back with the Porsche LMGT3 for this season. Unfortunately, the one thing we have lost is Sarah Bovey, which is sad, but we've got a new driver, Celia Martin, who has come in. She's going to race with Rahel Frey and Michelle Gatting as well. So I think, the Iron Dames have always been a threat. It was tough for them last season with the Lamborghini. They had some reliability issues, but I think with the Porsche, they'll be back in contention within the top 6 in certain races, I think, and possibly beyond that, continuing their sort of record of excellence in the championship.
And also worth mentioning, I'm loving the pink and the blue, by the way. It's like just great colours. But worth mentioning the number 92. That lineup is something not to be sniffed at.
Yeah, I think they're known as Manthey First Form this season. Ryan Hardwick has come across from the Ford Mustang staple. And Ricardo Pera and Ricard Leitz bring pace across the board, and they bring, in Ricard's case, amazing experience. I mean, what he doesn't know about Porsches isn't worth knowing about. I mean, this guy is forensically embedded within Porsche folklore, particularly technically. A bit like Martin, exceptionally valuable to a team. And I think if they definitely have a chance of getting a double, Manthey, in terms of defending their title, they look strong across the board. And obviously, a lot is going to be centred around how Ryan performs in that. But we saw last year more than a few examples of flashes of real talent from Ryan. So they're going to be a threat. They're going to be up there, I think, with certainly the Ferraris, certainly the McLarens, Aston Martin. I may as well just name all the manufacturers. I think it's going to be that close, and it's going to be fascinating to see who comes out on top.
But let's talk a little bit more about, something we haven't really addressed, the fact that there's several new drivers joining us in the championship this year who've never taken part in even a WEC session before. It's really hard to emphasise quite how much of a challenge it's going to be for them to make that step up into this phenomenal championship like the WEC.
Yeah, huge challenge, but that's what it should be. This is global competition. It's a world championship, but it's also great to see new blood coming in. I think a driver who kind of encapsulates that is Lynn Hedenius, who is driving with Mercedes with Christian Reed and Max Martin. So he's thrust into this sort of ultra-experienced squad. He's done basically a couple of years of Formula 4. He's a real genuine rookie, and he's going to come in. From what I saw in the prologue, he's acquitted himself extremely well. So, we saw it last season with Alex Malikin, didn't we? He ended up being a champion. I think Hedenius kind of encapsulates some of the new blood coming in, and we've got Johnny Edgar in here. So proving again that WEC is both for the experienced and the household names, but also for new stories and new household names to be born and thrive in the WEC.
I'm excited to see how they get on. Now, before we do predictions, I've spotted something. I'll be right back. I got us one each, Sam.
Oh boy.
Manthey, they've got mascots. Do you want one?
Hold on.
There you go, all right. They've got mascots. I don't really know what to do with them now I have them.
Special guest. I think we should consult them as predictors for the season.
Well, they're just going to...
Okay.
Manthey's going to win everything.
Well, I should go Iron Dames since we've stolen them from the Iron Dames cars.
Oh no, this one's the Iron Dames and that one's the first form one.
Okay.
Obviously they had to match. Right, you can sit there.
These are the
What are your
mascots for the
predictions
season. Well,
for 2025?
Please tell me I don't have to do a funny voice for... No, I'll go with my own voice. I think people are probably used to it now. GT3 last season, it was won with one round to spare. It's not going to happen this season. I think, from my point of view, I think United will be a threat with the McLarens. Which one? Not quite sure. I think Aston could be strong at the heart of racing car, because I think Drudy will bring an extra dynamic to that team. Ferraris, I think, consistently could be a big threat. Again, it's just which one that's going to be. It's going to be super exciting to see how the Mercedes guys go, how the Iron Dames go. TF Sport, I mentioned it before, that 33 car just feels like a squad where they've got the experience, they've got the flair, they've got the ambition of Johnny Edgar, the absolute flair of Daniel Hunkidea. So I'm going to go with 33.
Right, we need to put these back. This is getting out of hand. Thank you so much for watching. We have the race coming up on Friday, the 1,812 kilometres of Qatar. Track action begins on Wednesday. We will see you there.